You've been sold a lie, not a harmless misunderstanding, not a motivational misstep, a lie, calculated, profitable, and poisonous, the kind that sounds noble when repeated but rots the moment you reach its core. That lie is this: ambition will fulfill you. You've heard it 1,000 ways. Dream big, set goals, work hard, win, climb, push, rise, achieve. From classroom posters to corporate mantras, society has told you to chase the next milestone, because that's where life begins. They never explain what happens after you catch it, because what comes next is silence. There's a moment, a brutal, empty moment, when you reach a goal you've bled for, and nothing inside you changes. The world applauds, but your soul doesn't move. You thought victory would taste like meaning, but it tastes like ash. That's the part no one warns you about. The emptiness after achievement, the quiet void that ambition cannot fill. And when that silence hits, most people panic. They double down, set a bigger goal, climb a steeper hill. They tell themselves it was the size of the dream that was the problem, not the nature of the dream itself. So they run again, faster this time, until they collapse. And in that collapse, the truth waits. Ambition is a trick mirror. It shows you a future version of yourself who is finally enough, finally worthy. But it keeps that version just out of reach. You live chasing your own reflection, never realizing the image was fake from the start. This isn't some poetic lament. This is a tactical warning. You are bleeding energy into a system designed to starve you. Because if you were ever truly satisfied, you'd stop running. And if you stopped running, you'd start thinking. And that is the real danger to the system. What you feel isn't failure. What you feel is clarity. This isn't burnout, it's awakening. You are not broken for wondering why the finish line felt hollow. You are not weak for losing motivation after achieving what you were told would complete you. You were just lied to. Now it's time to look that lie in the eye and tear it apart, because the truth is brutal, and only the strong survive it. Imagine ambition as a towering fortress. From the outside, it looks magnificent. Walls of purpose, gates of discipline, banners of potential flapping in the wind. You're told that beyond those walls lies fulfillment, glory, peace. But the gate is locked, and the only way to earn the key, they say, is to prove yourself through labor, sacrifice, discipline, and relentless pursuit. So you build siege engines. You throw yourself at the gate. You bleed to climb the stone. And eventually, maybe, you break through. But inside the fortress, it's empty, cold, echoing. Not only is there no treasure, there never was, just dust and mirrors. The fortress wasn't built to protect something sacred. It was built to keep you moving. Ambition is not a path to freedom. It's a mechanism of control. Arthur Schopenhauer understood this better than most. He didn't romanticize the human will. He exposed it. To him, what we call ambition is just a mask for what he called the will to life, a blind, insatiable force that pushes us to strive, suffer, repeat. Not because we're noble, but because we're trapped. The will wants, not for purpose, not for virtue, but for the simple reason that it cannot stop wanting. You think you want success, but the moment you get it, the wanting doesn't stop. It mutates. You get the job, and then you want a better title. You reach the number, and then you want a new threshold. You win the game, and suddenly, winning isn't enough. The goalpost moves. The fortress expands. The walls rebuild. According to Schopenhauer, satisfaction is a temporary illusion. It flickers into existence only long enough to disappear again, like a mirage in the desert. Why? Because fulfillment isn't the goal of the will. Continuation is. This is the first brutal truth. You weren't designed to be satisfied. You were designed biologically, psychologically, socially, to be restless. And capitalism, culture, and media have weaponized that restlessness. They turned it into a market, into marketing, into motivation porn. You were taught to believe your life is a ladder, that each rung brings you closer to peace. But Schopenhauer's ladder has no top. It loops. Climb hard enough and you'll arrive right back where you started, exhausted, empty, addicted to motion, and that's by design. Look at how society treats ambition. It's not just encouraged, it's glorified, worshipped. We admire the ambitious, even when they destroy themselves. Especially when they destroy themselves. Burnout is a badge. Hustle is a gospel. Never enough is sold as virtue. But ambition is not noble. It is hunger disguised as discipline. And hunger that never ends is not a sign of greatness. It's a sign of slavery. Schopenhauer would call it the prison of desire. You believe you're building your legacy, but what you're really building is your own cage. Let's take it further. Even the so-called greats, the legends, the icons, the emperors, were not free. Napoleon didn't stop after Austerlitz. He wanted Moscow, then Berlin, then everything, until he destroyed himself, chasing a goal that didn't exist. Alexander the Great conquered the known world by age 30 and wept. Why? Not because he lacked ambition, but because he realized ambition had no finish line. They broke into the fortress, and they found it empty. You will too, unless you see it now. There is no summit, no final victory, no perfect version of you waiting on the other side of effort. Because effort, in the Schopenhauerian sense, is a treadmill. You run, not toward freedom, but away from discomfort. And ambition is the story you tell yourself to justify the running. It's a trap reinforced by every system around you. Schools don't teach you peace. They teach you to compete. Jobs don't offer meaning. They offer metrics. Social media doesn't show you connection. It shows you comparison. The moment you stop chasing, the machine loses you. And that makes you dangerous. Now, let's be clear. This isn't a call to laziness. This isn't nihilism in disguise. Schopenhauer wasn't saying effort is meaningless. He was saying the reason behind the effort determines your freedom. If your ambition is rooted in the illusion that success will finally make you feel whole, you are already lost. But if your action is driven by clarity, the awareness that satisfaction must come from how you move, not where you end up, then you escape the trap. Because the fortress is not real, and the key was never needed. You were always outside. You just forgot. That is the shift this video demands. Not a rejection of striving, but a rejection of striving as salvation. You were not meant to chase peace. You were meant to generate it. And peace does not live at the top of a mountain made of your own bones. So stop climbing. You don't need to be a philosopher to see it. Just look at your daily rhythm. You wake up with a tight chest, not from fear, but from urgency. There's always something unfinished. The inbox is never empty. The body is never perfect. The account is never enough. You don't eat because you're hungry. You eat because it fits into your optimized time window. You don't rest. You recover just enough to keep producing. You measure your day not by presence, but by productivity. Even leisure is weaponized. You scroll not to relax, but to compare. You work out not to feel strong, but to look impressive. Every action becomes an input towards some vague, future reward. And when you reach that milestone, you feel nothing. Maybe a few hours of dopamine, then the hollowness returns. So you chase again. You're not lazy. You're exhausted. And worse, you think the exhaustion means you're doing it right. That's the trap. Society conditioned you to equate depletion with discipline. If you're not suffering, you're slacking. If you're not busy, you're behind. So you push harder, convinced that if you just get this next thing, this next job, launch, body, partner, the emptiness will disappear. It won't. Because you're not chasing goals, you're running from stillness. And stillness, if you let it in, would tell you the truth. You were never supposed to live like this. Most advice on ambition sounds noble, but it's poison dressed in gold. Set smart goals. Visualize success. Grind harder than everyone else. But if you follow this advice without questioning the foundation, you're just reinforcing the prison walls. The real reason conventional ambition fails is because it confuses motion with meaning. You can be in constant movement and still go nowhere. You can hit every quarterly target and still feel dead inside. You can win every external game and still lose your inner world. Why? Because most ambition is externalized. It's built on performance, not alignment. You chase the version of yourself that earns applause, not peace. And that applause is addictive, but it's never enough. It can't be, because it's not about you. It's about perception. So even when you win, you don't feel it. The world might validate you, but your soul doesn't believe it. Because deep down, you know the person being celebrated isn't you. It's a role, a brand, a mask. This is why the high achievers you admire often feel the most hollow. They followed the script and discovered it was empty. So no, You don't need more strategy. You need a rupture. You need to burn the script and start from something real. Step 1. Interrupt the loop. Before you can think clearly, you need to stop running. Take 72 hours, no new goals, no optimization, no planning, just presence. Let the stillness in, even if it terrifies you, especially if it terrifies you, because in that silence, you'll hear the truth. Step 2. Inventory your motives. Write down every goal you're currently pursuing, and next to it, ask, am I doing this because I want it, or because I'm afraid of who I'll be without it? Most goals aren't born from desire. They're born from fear, and goals born from fear will never bring peace. Step 3. Define enough. If you don't define what enough looks like, you'll never reach it. Make it concrete. Make it small. If your success requires infinite sacrifice, it is not success. It's slavery. Step 4. Shift from outcome to process. Ask yourself, if I knew I'd never be recognized for this, would I still do it? If the answer is yes, you've found alignment. If not, you've found performance. Rebuild your life around the doing, not the proving. Step 5. Protect inner space. Delete the apps that trigger comparison. Cut the voices that preach hustle. Not because you're weak, but because your clarity is sacred. You are not here to perform. You are here to exist. And that, finally, is enough. Machiavelli once described the world as a battle between virtù, human initiative, courage, mastery, and fortuna, the chaotic, indifferent force of fate. Ambition pretends to be virtù. It looks like control, strength, strategy. But most modern ambition is actually submissive to fortuna, because it depends entirely on outcomes beyond your command. You don't control the market. You don't control other people's opinions. You don't control who wins the algorithm lottery. So when your identity is tied to success, you've already handed your soul to chance. Real virtù is different. It acts without dependency. It chooses the harder path, not because it guarantees reward, but because it aligns with strength. Schopenhauer would say, true power is to will without illusion, to act from clarity, not fantasy. The modern world tells you to play the game to win, but Schopenhauer, and even Machiavelli, would say, play because you are a player, not because you need the crown. You must learn to walk into the storm of fortuna without asking for guarantees. That's virtù. That's freedom. Anything less is cowardice in disguise. Burn your milestones. Tear down your timeline. Stop measuring your worth in deadlines and deliverables. Use rhythm instead of schedule. Are you in flow? Are you growing roots? That's what matters. Build rituals, not routines. Routine is mechanical. Ritual is sacred. Turn your actions into ceremonies of meaning. Write without a goal. Train without a mirror. Create without a pitch deck. Let the act itself be the reward. Refuse to perform. Stop giving the world the version of you it wants. Speak slower. Share less. Smile less if it's not real. Let people feel uncomfortable with your presence. It means you've stopped entertaining them. Channel the energy. You don't need to kill ambition. You need to redirect it. From proving to creating. From chasing to mastering. From consumption to contribution. Build inner infrastructure. Read philosophy. Sit in silence. Walk without purpose. Not because it's productive, but because it builds soul. The world will scream that you're wasting time. That's how you know you're finally living. If you've made it this far, you already feel it. That quiet, burning realization in your chest. You've been used. Your ambition wasn't your own. It was installed, like software, by systems that needed you to chase, exhaust, and repeat. Because a person chasing is easier to control than one who is clear. And now that you see it, you only have two choices. Go back to sleep or go to war. This is not for everyone. This is not for those who still worship the grind or for those addicted to applause. This is for the few who are sick enough of the noise to crave the silence, the kind of silence that rebuilds you. Here's your challenge. Write these words in the comments. Not for me, not for the algorithm, but for yourself. I burned the ladder. Because that's what you're doing. You're refusing the climb. You're choosing presence over performance. You're tearing down the fortress and planting something real in its place. Let the world chase ghosts. Let the influencers sell illusions. You will move from stillness, from clarity, from alignment. And in doing so, you will terrify the system, because they don't know what to do with someone who can't be baited. Remember this, Ambition is not freedom. Ambition without clarity is servitude with a smile. You weren't born to chase. You were born to see. And now that you've seen the truth, you don't get to forget it. So burn the ladder, build from the ground, and don't look back.